I worked on cruise ships for 7 years, and every voyage I witnessed the same scene. Passengers who regretted their choices before they even unpacked their suitcases. About 60% of first-time cruisers make at least one serious mistake before the vacation ends. Some lose hundreds of dollars. Others spend their nights sleepless. I watched all of these mistakes unfold from the deck, and today, I'm going to tell you exactly which ones you need to avoid. If this is going to be your first cruise and you want to start smart, take a second to subscribe. I share insider tips from my years working at sea, and I promise not to waste your time with fluff. Now let me walk you through the 20 things that can turn your dream voyage into a floating headache. The first thing you need to understand is that a cruise ship is not a hotel. It is a floating city with its own rules, rhythms, and hidden systems. Most passengers arrive thinking they can figure it all out as they go. They cannot. Every corridor, every restaurant, every announcement has a logic behind it. Once you learn that logic, everything becomes easier. But if you ignore it, you will spend your vacation chasing your own tail while others relax on their balconies with a drink in hand. Let me start with something that surprises almost everyone. The embarkation day buffet trap. The moment the ship opens its doors, hundreds of passengers rush straight to the buffet like it is the last meal on Earth. I used to watch them from the crew corridor, a river of people all heading in the same direction. Here is what they do not realize. That food has been sitting under heat lamps for hours. The salad is wilting, the pizza is rubbery, and you will fight for a table in a room packed with tired, hungry travelers fresh off their flights. Meanwhile, the main dining room is quietly open, serving freshly cooked meals with actual silverware and real service. Almost nobody goes there on the first day because almost nobody knows it exists. If you want to start your cruise like someone who has done this before, skip the chaos and sit down somewhere civilized. Now let me talk about cabin selection, because this is where I see the most regret. You find a great price on an interior cabin, you book it, and you think you got a deal. But then you arrive and discover your room is directly above the nightclub. The bass thumps through your floor until 2 in the morning. Or maybe you are right below the fitness center, where someone drops weights at 5 in the morning every single day. You are not saving money at that point. You are trading it for your sleep. The trick is to treat the deck plan like a treasure map. Before you book anything, look at what is directly above your cabin, below it, and across the hall. The best cabins are sandwiched between other passenger cabins on all sides. That creates a sound buffer. Midship locations experience less motion, too, which matters if you are prone to seasickness. Spend 10 extra minutes on research, and you can avoid a week of misery. While we are on cabins, let me mention something that catches even experienced cruisers off guard. If you book a balcony cabin, be very careful about opening the balcony door and the main cabin door at the same time. It creates a wind tunnel. Papers fly everywhere. Doors slam hard enough to injure fingers. I have seen children cry and adults panic because of this. The air pressure systems on ships are sensitive. One open door at a time. That is the rule. Speaking of balconies, they are not as private as you think. Most of them have gaps at the bottom of the dividers. Sound travels easily. If you are having a conversation, your neighbor can hear it. If you are doing something more personal, your neighbor can definitely hear it. Sometimes people on the deck above can see down into your balcony. Treat it like a semi-public space and you will avoid awkward moments. Now let me get into the money traps, because cruise ships are designed to make you spend more than you planned. The minibar in your cabin looks innocent. A cold soda, a little snack, maybe a tiny bottle of something stronger. But here is the truth. Nothing in that minibar is included in your fare, even if you bought a drink package. The prices are brutal. A can of soda that costs $3 at the bar might cost $7 or $8 in your cabin. I have seen passengers check out and discover $50 or $100 in mystery charges just from grabbing a few things without thinking. If you need a drink, walk to the pool bar or the buffet. It is already part of what you paid for. The drink package itself is another area where people lose money. It sounds amazing, right? Unlimited cocktails, fancy coffees, bottled water, all for one daily price. But here is the math that cruise lines hope you will not do. Most packages cost somewhere between $60 and $100 per person per day, sometimes more. To break even, you need to drink 6 or 7 drinks every single day. And those have to be premium drinks covered by the package. If you spend half your cruise in port, you are not on the ship drinking. If you sleep in one morning or have a quiet night, you are falling behind. And here's a detail many people miss. If one adult in your cabin buys the package, most cruise lines require the other adult to buy it too, even if they barely drink. Service charges still apply on top of the advertised price. Some premium liquors are not even included. I have watched couples do the calculation at the end of their trip and realize they would have saved money just paying for drinks as they went. The package works for heavy drinkers who plan to stay on the ship. For everyone else, it is often a trap dressed up as a convenience. The same logic applies to excursions. Cruise lines sell shore excursions at a premium, and passengers assume they are paying for quality. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they are paying for a guarantee. If you book through the ship and the excursion runs late, the captain will wait for you. If you book independently and get stuck in traffic, the ship will sail without you. I have seen it happen. A family missed the ship in Jamaica because their private tour guide had a flat tire. They spent hundreds of dollars flying to the next port to catch up. So the decision depends on how far from the port your activity takes you. If you are just walking to a nearby beach, booking independently is usually fine and cheaper. If you are driving 2 hours into the mountains, the ship's excursion offers a safety net you cannot get anywhere else. Let me move to something that directly affects the people who work on these ships. Tipping. Prepaid gratuities are convenient, but they remove your leverage. Once the cruise line has your money, it does not matter if your steward disappears or your waiter forgets your order every night. You have already paid. Some experienced cruisers opt out at booking and adjust tips later at guest services based on the actual service they receive. Others keep the automatic gratuities to support the whole team, including the invisible workers like cooks and dishwashers, and then bring extra cash to reward standout service personally. A $20 bill handed directly to your steward on the first day sets a tone. They notice. They remember. And suddenly, small requests become easy. Here is something else that matters more than people realize. Packing the wrong things. Cruise lines have strict rules about what you can bring on board, and they have gotten stricter in recent years. Bluetooth speakers are now banned on many ships because too many passengers played music on their balconies and disturbed everyone around them. Multi-plug power strips with regular sockets are banned on several lines because they interfere with electrical systems. Surge protectors are banned almost everywhere. Irons and steamers are banned because of fire risk. Candles and incense are absolutely prohibited. The smoke detectors on cruise ships are 10 times more sensitive than the ones in hotels. I have seen passengers get fined $500 for setting off a false alarm with a scented candle they thought would be romantic. If you need to plug in multiple devices, bring a USB charging hub with no regular outlets. If you need wrinkle-free clothes, use the ship's ironing service. It costs a few dollars per item, but it is cheaper than a fire hazard fine. I should mention smoking while we are on safety. There is zero tolerance for smoking in cabins or on balconies. This includes cigarettes, cigars, vapes, and anything else you can light or inhale. The risk of fire at sea is too serious for any exceptions. In recent years, cruise lines have kicked passengers off the ship mid-voyage for breaking this rule. No warnings, no second chances. They make you get off at the next port and find your own way home. If you need to smoke, use the designated areas on the open deck. They exist for a reason. Let me talk about timing, because when you do things on a cruise matters more than most passengers realize. The buffet has rhythms. Show up at peak hours and you get cold food, long lines, and a chaotic experience. Show up 30 minutes after opening and you get fresh food, empty tables, and peace. For breakfast, the sweet spot is usually around 7 or 8 in the morning, after the early risers leave and before everyone else wakes up. For dinner, either go right when the dining room opens, usually around 5:30, or wait until after 8 when families with young children have cleared out. The kitchen has time to perfect your meal when the rush is over. Even the pool deck has patterns. On port days, most passengers go ashore. That is when you have the ship almost to yourself. The pools are empty. The spa is quiet. The gym is available. If you want luxury, learn the rhythms and move against the crowd. The casino is another area where timing and knowledge make a difference. Cruise ship casinos only open in international waters, and the odds are different from what you find on land. Slot machines at sea often have lower payout percentages than machines in regulated casinos back home. The house edge on table games can be higher, too. I am not saying do not play. I am saying play with your eyes open. Treat the casino as entertainment, not as a way to make money. Set a limit before you walk in and do not chase losses. The cruise line tracks your play through a loyalty card, and consistent players sometimes earn perks like free dinners or cabin upgrades. But those perks cost more in losses than they are worth, unless you were going to play anyway. Gambling is a personal choice, and I respect that. Just know what you are walking into. One thing that rarely gets discussed is health and medication. If you take prescription drugs, pack them in your carry-on luggage, not your checked bag. Checked luggage sometimes gets delayed or lost. If your medication requires refrigeration, notify the cruise line in advance and talk to your cabin steward when you board. Time zones shift during the cruise, which can affect dosing schedules. Bring extra doses in case of delays. The medical center on board can help with minor issues, but they do not carry every prescription. If you have a serious condition and need emergency care, evacuation from a ship can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Travel insurance that covers medical evacuation is not optional for people over a certain age or with certain conditions. It is essential. I want to mention something about cruise apps and technology. Most major cruise lines now have apps that let you check your schedule, see your charges, and book activities. Download the app before you board. Familiarize yourself with it at home where you have reliable internet. The Wi-Fi on ships is expensive and often slow. Some packages cost $20 or $30 a day just for basic access. If you need to stay connected, look into Wi-Fi packages purchased in advance at a discount. But honestly, consider unplugging. You are at sea. The emails can wait. Let me close with something that ties everything together. A cruise ship is not a place where the rules work against you. It is a place where the rules, once you understand them, can work in your favor. The passengers who enjoy their voyages the most are not the ones who fight the system. They are the ones who learn it. They know when to eat, where to sit, what to pack, and how to treat the crew. They adapt to the ship, and they find that it meets them halfway. So as you plan your first cruise, ask yourself 2 questions. Which habits from home do you need to leave behind, and which small adjustments will make the biggest difference on board? Maybe you skip the drink package and pay as you go. Maybe you spend an extra hour researching cabin locations. Maybe you pack a USB hub instead of a power strip. Maybe you tip your steward on day 1. None of these changes are dramatic. All of them add up. Before I finish, let me mention something about the crew and how they see you. Your cabin steward cleans somewhere between 15 and 25 rooms every day. They work 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week, for months without a break. When you treat them like furniture, they notice. When you acknowledge them by name, say thank you, and leave a small tip on day 1, they notice that too. Suddenly, your room gets cleaned first instead of last. Suddenly, that extra pillow you requested appears within the hour. The difference between an average cruise and a great one often comes down to how you interact with the crew. This is not about manipulation. It is about basic human respect. There is also the do not disturb sign that confuses more passengers than you would expect. If you hang that sign on your door and leave for the day, your steward cannot enter. It does not matter how long you are gone. The sign is an absolute barrier. You will come back to an unmade bed and unchanged trash, and then complain that nobody cleaned your room. But you told them not to. Flip the sign when you want service. Leave it on when you want privacy. One more thing about safety. Every cruise has a mandatory muster drill on the first day. You have to attend. You have to know where your lifeboat station is. Some passengers try to skip it. This is a mistake. In an emergency, you will not have time to figure out where to go. Pay attention. It could save your life. If you found this helpful, share it with someone planning their first voyage. Subscribe for more insider knowledge from years spent at sea. And leave a comment telling me which tip surprised you the most, or share your own experience if you have sailed before. Every story helps someone else sail smarter. The ocean is wide, but the community of travelers who look out for each other makes it smaller. I will see you in the next one.